The offer was still fresh in my head when I thought back to how all this actually started. 19 months earlier, I walked into Graffin Associates thinking I'd landed a safe, boring analyst job. Client accounts analyst. Sounded like spreadsheet hell. I figured I'd be buried in Excel all day, checking numbers, updating charts, barely speaking to anyone. What I found was a company circling the drain. Long-term clients were leaving like the building was on fire. I saw it in my first week. 3 major contracts canceled with nothing but canned responses from our side. No one followed up. No one asked why. I brought it up in our first team huddle. Lorna barely looked up from her laptop. "They come, they go," she said. "Focus on what's on your desk." That was day 1, and that was all I needed to know about her. Lorna ran that department like she was managing a vending machine. Invoice in, deliver service, get paid, move on. No relationship building, no real communication. Just cold transactions. You could have replaced half the staff with bots and no one would have noticed. But I started noticing little things. I'd be on the phone with a VP and hear his kid was visiting colleges. Or a CFO would casually mention she was training for a half marathon. Just offhand stuff. Easy to ignore. But I didn't. I wrote it down. I kept notes. Next time I called, I asked how the marathon went. Asked where his kid applied. Asked if the surgery went okay. And every time, they paused, like they weren't used to being remembered. It wasn't complicated. I just treated people like human beings. 4 months in, the calls started changing. The helpline would ring, and I'd hear, "Can I speak to Eric?" The portal messages started saying things like, "Per my last call with Eric." They skipped the whole system. I became the system. Lorna didn't notice right away. She was too busy with dashboards and bar graphs, acting like data was king. But I was seeing something the numbers didn't show yet. People were staying, and they were referring others. I had one guy, COO at a logistics firm, tell me, "You're the only person there who remembers what we're trying to do, not just what we're paying for." That hit me, because that was exactly the problem. Graffin was so obsessed with efficiency, they forgot why clients signed contracts in the first place. Trust, familiarity, feeling like someone gave a damn. I wasn't trying to prove anything at first. I just couldn't stand working like a robot. But as the client list stabilized and even started to grow, I realized I was building something real, quietly, under the radar. And the thing is, I never asked for recognition. I didn't need applause. I just needed the space to keep doing it. Of course, Lorna couldn't leave that alone. The more I succeeded, the more she side-eyed my screen. She started asking for call duration breakdowns and tracking efficiency metrics. She didn't get it. I wasn't burning time. I was building loyalty. But I knew the day would come when she'd try to shut it down. I just didn't think she'd go as far as she did. Not yet. Back then, I still thought I could show her the value. Still thought logic might matter. But Lorna didn't care about logic. She cared about control. And when someone like that sees results they didn't approve, yeah, they call it inefficiency. But I knew better. I knew exactly what I was building, and I wasn't even close to done. It didn't take long for the side eyes to turn into something sharper. Lorna started hovering. She'd pass by my desk, slow, glance at my screen like she was catching me doing something wrong. I'd be mid-call, halfway through a real conversation. Not a script, not some pre-approved checklist, just talking like a person. And every damn time, I could feel her judging the length of it. "You're 40% slower than the department average," she told me during one of our reviews. No hello, no context, just that. I raised an eyebrow. "Client renewals are up 30% in my group." She didn't blink. "Time spent doesn't equal value added." That was her favorite line. Numbers that helped her case were gospel. Everything else was fluff. Next week, she handed me a new assignment. "I want you to do a full audit of all your accounts from the past 12 months. Calls, emails, outcomes. I need hard evidence of value." I knew what this was. She was trying to bog me down, drown me in my own success. If I missed deadlines or let something slip, she'd call me a weak link. So I didn't slip. I went all in. I pulled records, cross-referenced call logs, highlighted renewal patterns, built charts. But I didn't stop there. I wrote out the context, the human part. Page after page. A client who signed a service extension after I followed up on his mom's surgery. Another who agreed to a second contract, because I remembered his company's 10-year anniversary. One VP who pushed her CFO to keep us on, just because I'd helped her son get advice on applying to engineering schools. Every waste of time conversation tied directly to revenue. 49 pages, no fluff, no filler, just facts. I dropped the binder on her desk with a sticky note. Per your request. She didn't say anything for 2 days. Didn't even look at me. I figured she'd toss it in a drawer and pretend it didn't exist. Honestly, I expected that. What I didn't expect? Her going nuclear. She called me into her office and closed the door. She didn't sit down, didn't offer me a chair, just stood there with the report in her hand. This is not how we measure success here, she said flat. I looked at her. It's 180 in additional revenue. That's not success. She tightened her jaw. It's not scalable. It's not repeatable. You're creating dependencies that don't belong in professional services. I almost laughed. You mean relationships? That pissed her off. I saw it. Her eyes went cold. You're not paid to make friends, she snapped. You're paid to maintain accounts. That's what I'm doing. No, you're playing favorites, wasting time, and creating a model we can't reproduce without cloning your personality. That's not strategy. That's chaos. She shoved the binder back toward me. This ends now. I picked it up, still calm. You asked for evidence. That's evidence? She didn't respond. Just waved me out like I was a nuisance. Fine. I left. But in that moment, something clicked. This wasn't just about me. Lorna couldn't stand that something worked, really worked, without her fingerprints on it. She'd built her little kingdom on process, and I'd exposed how weak it really was. She wasn't going to adapt. She was going to burn it down before she admitted it was broken, and I could feel it. The fuse had already been lit. She didn't waste time. That same week, Wednesday morning, calendar invite hit my inbox. All hands, client strategy review. Mandatory, 9 a.m. I showed up thinking maybe this was it. Maybe she'd actually read the damn report and changed her mind. For half a second, I let myself believe that. Room was packed. Everyone from junior reps to the director level. 20 chairs, wall monitor lit up, and there it was. My report. Front and center on the screen. Title and everything. I took a seat near the back, watched her step up to the front like she was hosting a game show. Today, she said, clicking to the first page, we're going to walk through an example of what not to do. I felt my stomach drop. She didn't even look at me. Here's a case where an employee has confused personal interaction with professional value, she said, flipping through slides like they were trash. This kind of chit-chat doesn't belong in business. Line by line, she tore through it. My notes about a client's daughter getting into Stanford. Irrelevant fluff. The check-in with a CEO after his heart surgery. Unscalable nonsense. She didn't just criticize, she mocked. Her tone was snide, smug, like this was all one big joke she couldn't believe she had to address. I looked around, people shifted in their chairs. Nobody said anything. One guy, Brent from legal, actually turned his chair sideways to avoid eye contact with me, and then she opened the final slide. This is the master archive of notes, she said. Internal only. Not client-facing. Unnecessary. I watched her cursor move across the screen. Right-click, delete, confirm, gone, 49 pages. A year of tracking every detail, every connection, every conversation that actually mattered. Gone in 5 seconds. I didn't move, I didn't speak. I just sat there while the room went dead quiet. She turned back to the team. We are a service provider, she said. We don't babysit executives. We deliver what's promised and move on. Someone coughed. Nobody else moved. She closed the presentation like nothing happened. Let's refocus on efficient workflows. Questions? No one raised a hand. I stood up. Slow, not loud, not dramatic. Just stood and walked out without a word. She didn't stop me. And in that moment, I knew. Those weren't just notes. They were the actual bones of our retention system. The thing keeping the company from bleeding out. I walked into the hallway, still calm, but everything in my body was locked tight. My jaw, my chest, even my hands. I didn't have a plan yet. I didn't need one. Because right then, I understood something she didn't. And I wasn't going to lift a damn finger to fix what she'd just broken. She wanted control. She could keep it. Let's see what she does when the whole thing starts slipping through her fingers. I had barely made it 2 steps into the hallway before my phone buzzed. Unknown number, New York area code. I answered. Eric, Glenn Ford, Weller, and Finch. My chest tightened. I remembered him. Conference last year in Philly. We'd talked for 20 minutes maybe. Nothing serious. He didn't waste time. We've been watching your retention numbers. His voice was calm, clipped, like this wasn't a surprise call. We saw what just happened. That stopped me. You did? Word travels fast in this space, especially when someone publicly deletes their only advantage. I leaned against the wall, trying to catch my breath without making it obvious. We're ready to talk, he said. No red tape. No 6-month vetting cycle. You'd lead client experience strategy. Build it from scratch. Your rules. I looked down the hallway. Inside the room, I could still hear Lorna talking about professional standards. She had no idea she was talking to herself. And what about, I started. The clients? He said. If they follow you, that's their call. We're not poaching. We're betting on trust. That was the line, right there. He didn't care about stealing business. He understood what she never did. The value wasn't in the database. It was in me. I didn't even need time to think. I'm in, I said. Send it over. Already did. Check your inbox. I opened the email. Offer letter, full benefits breakdown, start date, even a personal note from the VP of operations. We value what you do. Let's build something better. I signed it right there. Walked back toward the conference room. My hands weren't shaking anymore. She was still mid-slide, lecturing the team about uniformity and brand consistency. I didn't sit down. I stood by the door, waited until her voice hit a pause. Lorna, I said. She turned. I'm resigning. Effective immediately. The room snapped to attention. You could feel the air shift. She blinked. You can't. There's protocol. I held up my phone with the signed offer displayed. I'm not asking. It's done. Dead silence. She looked around like someone was supposed to back her up. No one moved. I turned and walked out. Not fast, not dramatic, just done. And for the first time in 19 months, I didn't feel like I was carrying something. By the time I hit the elevator, my phone had already buzzed twice. I didn't even check it until I stepped out onto the sidewalk. Still cloudy, just past 10 in the morning. I was free, and I felt it. Like I'd finally stopped holding my breath after almost 2 years. First message was from Jason at Harrison Steel. Heard you moved. Can I still work with you? Didn't ask where I was going. Didn't care. Just wanted to stay connected. 10 minutes later, call from Susan at TerraTech. I don't trust anyone else to get our tone right, she said. They've already passed me off to some junior rep. It's cold now. Transactional? I didn't pitch anyone. Didn't drop hints or dangle anything. They came to me. By Friday, I'd heard from 6 different clients, all of them mid to high level, all asking the same question. Can we follow you? At Weller, they didn't blink. Let them come, Glenn said. That's not stealing. That's gravity back at Graffin. Lorna was spiraling. People inside started texting me, quietly, carefully, mostly from personal phones. She's freaking out, one of the account managers said, calling every client she can think of, acting like you took files or something I hadn't. She deleted all that herself. She called Jason, someone else said, tried to offer him a 20% discount to stay. He told her, no thanks, I already have who I need. I didn't say it out loud, but yeah, I knew that line was about me. By the next week, the panic was visible. Clients stopped responding to her team, or worse, they'd reply just to say they were exploring other options. And the thing was, I hadn't done anything. I wasn't chasing anyone down. I wasn't emailing or calling or campaigning. They just knew. They knew the warmth was gone. The little details, the callbacks, the check-ins that came without a sale attached. Graffin tried to replace me with process. But you can't automate care. You can't template trust. I got a call from Randall at Vexler Labs. Hadn't talked to him in almost 5 months. You're the only one who ever remembered our rollout schedule without being asked, he said. The new team doesn't even know what services we use. I told him Weller was open. Send me the paperwork, he said. Meanwhile, Lorna was still trying to fix it with spreadsheets and policy updates, still acting like this was a glitch, not a collapse. A rep from her team messaged me. She sat in her office for 2 hours yesterday, just staring at the CRM like it owed her answers. But the CRM was empty. She thought she'd wiped the system clean. Thought deleting my archive would reset everything. What she didn't get, and never would, was that the archive wasn't the thing holding those relationships together. I was, and those relationships, they don't live on servers. They live in memory, voice, effort. So while she chased old contacts, I was onboarding them. Clean transitions, full context, no begging. I had one rule. If they came to me, I welcomed them. If they didn't, I left them alone. Because I didn't need to burn anything down. She was doing it just fine on her own. By the 4th week, it was officially a mess. 9 of their top 14 clients were gone. Not shopping around. Gone. Signed elsewhere, off the books. 40% revenue drop. I didn't need to dig for the numbers. People inside Grafen were feeding me updates like clockwork. Not out of loyalty either, out of disbelief. Lorna's trying to pin this on you, one message said. Apparently, she called an emergency board meeting to accuse me of unethical influence. Said I'd poached accounts, weaponized personal relationships, undermined her authority. But someone, bless them, had filmed my resignation. Full video, me holding the offer letter, her fumbling over protocol, everyone just staring. The board saw it. I heard one executive cut her off mid-sentence. Said, "You deleted the archive?" Silence. Then what exactly are you blaming him for? After that, she lost steam. While Grafian panicked, I kept my head down at Weller and Finch. No interviews, no posts, no victory laps. I wasn't there for revenge. I was there to build. I started with a 5-person team, built our own system, not a database, not a CRM clone. A live model based on real contact points, voice calls, follow-ups, tracked intent. Not just birthdays and hobbies, actual timelines of trust. Clients noticed. One VP said, "You remembered we launched in March. That means more than you think." Another emailed me after a meeting. "Thanks for checking in about my kid's scholarship. She got it. That was the stuff. That's what made it all work." Meanwhile, back at Grafen, the dam broke. They shut down the Chicago office. 30% staff cut. Contractors let go overnight. People I used to sit next to were calling me in shock. "They just packed up half the floor," someone said. No warning. Then the Lorna rumors started. Administrative leave. Under review. Stepping down after Q3. Nobody said it outright. They didn't have to. She vanished from the org chart. Emails stopped coming from her address. Her assistant's voicemail changed. One day she was calling clients, trying to explain the new streamlined approach. Next day, gone. Someone from the marketing team messaged me. "You didn't destroy her. She did that herself." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because the truth was plain. She bet against relationships and lost. Turns out people don't stick around because of clean invoices or on-time delivery. They stay because someone remembers, because someone cares. She never got that. And now, she didn't have to. She was out, and I was just getting started. 3 months later, I was sitting in my new office, whiteboard covered in notes, coffee half warm, onboarding call just wrapped, when my phone rang. Unknown number, Connecticut area code. I picked up. "Eric, hey, it's Dan Klein." Took me a second, then I remembered. Grafen exec, one of the quiet ones. Sat through every strategy meeting nodding like a bobblehead. Never spoke up, never pushed back. "I was hoping to run something by you," he said. "We've been reassessing things over here." I leaned back in my chair. "Sure, what's on your mind?" He cleared his throat like he didn't want to say it out loud. "We'd like to explore a partnership. Weller and Finch has picked up a lot of traction with some of our former clients. We're open to conversations, account acquisitions, maybe even sharing resources." There it was, a lifeboat. Their ship was leaking, and he wanted to strap it to mine. I kept my voice even. "Appreciate the call. What exactly are you proposing?" "Well," he said, "maybe we could bring you back in. Higher title, full control of strategy, double pay, build something new with the right backing this time." I let that hang for a second. Then I said, Dan, I'm where I belong. He paused. Weller valued what I did on day one, I added. They didn't need a collapse to understand relationships matter. Another pause. Then, I understand. We ended the call politely. No bridge burning. But we both knew what that conversation really was. Desperation. I looked at the whiteboard behind me. 3 new accounts in onboarding, 2 more in final talks. And every single one had come to us. Not through ads, not through flashy campaigns, through people. Lorna was gone. Nobody even mentioned her name anymore. Clients were happy. My team was growing. And I didn't lose a single night of sleep wondering if I should have done more to bring her down. I didn't need revenge. It found her on its own. She lost everything trying to prove that personal connection was a weakness. Turns out, that inefficient garbage she deleted, it was the only thing keeping the place afloat.